Hey everyone, Kevin here, and what I'd like to do in this video is talk about connecting with your audience. And when I'm talking about connecting with your audience, I'm talking about bloggers connecting to their readers, writers connecting with readers, YouTubers connecting with their subscribers, or even, I suppose this applies to even people that use Instagram and Twitter and things like that. This video was inspired really by Eli the Computer Guy. He did a really good video last week where he talked about getting old as a YouTube creator. Now the video is about 32 minutes long. I'll link to it below and I highly recommend checking it out. It's a really good video and he raises a lot of interesting points. And everything that he talks about is related to YouTube, but I think that, all these points that he's raised, they are applicable to other things as well. So if you're a content creator and you're a blogger, whether you're a YouTuber, a blogger, a writer, anything like that, I think everything that he says in this video is applicable. And he raises a lot of interesting points. He talks about how, getting old as a YouTuber, but it's really about the fact that your audience changes, you change, and along the way, you can kind of lose touch with your audience. And he uses a couple of good examples. For example, if you do videos that are targeted towards the kind of 18 to 24 market, perhaps it's silly videos, perhaps it's prank videos, perhaps it's gaming videos. When your audience, when they grow from 18 to 20 to 22, 24, they might actually be less interested in the content you produce. But even if they are still interested in your content, you might find that they might watch less. If they've been watching your videos all the time, every day when they're younger, when they get older, they get jobs, they get relationships, they get kids, they get families, they get more responsibilities, and they can't devote as much time to, reading content or watching content. And I think it works both ways as well, because if you're trying to creating a connection with your audience, sometimes because you grow, because you learn, it's hard to stay connected to them. And I'll give it a really good example of this. In 2007, I think it was, early 2007, I launched a website called Blogging Tips. And as the name suggests, it was about sharing advice with bloggers, telling them how to blog. There was a lot of things focused on WordPress and things like that, but I also talked about marketing your blog, connecting with the audience, increasing traffic, SEO, everything related to, running a blog, marketing it, running it efficiently, effectively. The problem is that the core audience, the target audience for that kind of website is mainly beginners. If you are a blogger, once you get to a certain point, for some people it'll be after a few months, for some people it'll be 6 months, maybe some people will after a year or two. You can actually produce more advanced content for a website like that, but by and large, your target audience is beginners. It's people that are just learning. Now, the problem was, it wasn't that the audience stayed the same. The problem was that I shifted. When it got to a point a couple of years later, I ran the blog for about 2-3 years, and towards the end, I'd written thousands of articles about blogging. I'd written everything that I could have ever said about blogging, and I'd got to the point that, one, I was bored about the subject matter. I couldn't really talk about it anymore. It really bored me. I'd written so many articles about it, and also that I couldn't really relate to beginners anymore. I really couldn't. When I first started Blogging Tips, I've been working online for 7 years, so it's not like I was a beginner in the first place. But, as time went on, a lot of the things that, the beginners would maybe be looking for, solutions to certain problems, I really couldn't connect to them in that way because I just expected people to know them. I took them for granted. There's certain things I found this myself many times. I don't consider myself an expert in any subject, but sometimes I forget that other people are at the start of their journey where I'm, I've been working online a little bit longer. I went to, this is WordCamp Europe 2017, but I went to WordCamp Belfast last year. It was a good weekend. And I remember some of the questions being asked after the talk, and I was really surprised at how basic the questions were. So although I didn't consider myself a beginner, a lot of the questions being asked, I didn't even realize there were problems because I just took them for granted. Now, this isn't anything to do with those, it's not a criticism. I can't talk today. It isn't a criticism on those people asking questions. I think that when you're focusing on any particular subject for a long time, you naturally become more experienced, you learn more about the subject matter, and as your knowledge grows, it does become harder to connect to the people that you did connect with at the beginning. And that, that's a natural evolution of any, of that. If you're focusing on a certain topic, for example, I learned to play the piano, and I'm documenting my journey about playing the piano. There'll be other people who are in the same boat, and they can relate to what I'm going through. But say I stuck to it, and after 3 years I'm playing piano, it's going to be harder for me to explain certain things to beginners because I'm not in the same point of the journey as them, not anymore. I think sometimes as a content creator, you've got you're juggling a lot of things at the same time. You're doing research, you're answering emails, you're publishing. I mean, even publishing an article or a video isn't always everything you have to do. You then have to market it. You have to do all these different things. And whether you like it or not, you do sometimes go on autopilot. You go on autopilot and you just, wash, rinse, repeat. You keep doing the same things over and over and over. But you do need to kind of take a step back and reevaluate where you are. Try and take an honest picture of, who's your content for? Who's it for? Who are you trying to connect with? And this is something that I still do struggle with from time to time. I don't think I've got an answer to this. I think this is something that all content creators, whether you're a blogger, you've got a website, you want to connect to your audience, increase sales, or increase traffic. I do think that sometimes you need to take a step back and then think, right, okay, who am I trying to connect with? And sometimes you might connect with the wrong people. I found that on YouTube as well. I've found that, I've spent time producing a video that's taken 2 or 3 days and it's got next to no views. And then I'll do a quick 5-minute video where I'm just browsing something and giving my opinion, and it gets 10,000 views. And I'm like, I don't understand my audience. I don't, and obviously there's things like SEO and, things like that in play as well. But sometimes the videos that you think will connect to your audience, it just doesn't click. So part of that is maybe because you're attracting the wrong people, or maybe, I'm connecting with the wrong people. But again, I'm not trying to say that there isn't really an answer to all of this. The point of this video is really just to remind all of you, regardless of what kind of content you produce, whether it be books or blogs or videos or whatever, you do need to always remember that your audience is changing, but you're changing as well. And sometimes, you kind of get a little bit misaligned. And, if you take into consideration all of these things, you might want to change up your long-term strategy, because if what you're doing isn't connecting with your audience, or if you've went past the point where you can actually connect to your audience anymore, you need to change things up. And for me, for example, with blogging tips, when I realized that I couldn't connect to bloggers anymore, it was at that point where I realized I need to sell this website, because I need to either hire people to write for it full time, or I can't update it myself. And the same thing happened to me before that as well. I had poker forums. I had a couple of poker websites, and I used to play poker, online. I used to play it down at a pub. I used to play with friends. I used to talk about it. I used to read books about poker. And after a few years of that, I basically just grew really bored of poker. And when I grew bored of it, I couldn't really connect with the people that I was trying to connect with. I wasn't as effective as making money because of that, because I'd lost interest in the subject matter. So I do think it's interesting, the whole issue about connecting with your audience, because sometimes you think that you're connecting with them, but then, the stats say differently. And it's important to realize that one of the topics that Eli brings up as well was, I think this is more to do with YouTubers, but I think it's an interesting topic as well, getting old as a YouTuber. And he uses a few examples. He used the example about people younger getting older and not having time, but he also points out the fact that people are going to relate less to you if you're older. Now, I'm approaching 38. I'm a little bit older. And I think my subject matter, for example, on this channel, is mostly business and WordPress and making money. My other channel is mostly technology. And I don't think technology is something that excludes many, demographics. If you're young or old, you should be able to enjoy my videos. But at the same time, it is going to be harder for people that are younger than me to connect with me in the same way as others. So the example he gives in his video is, I think he talked about someone in New York, for example, someone who's 28 and they're living in New York and they've got like a successful business. And he was saying how someone coming out of university who is, say, 22 years old, they could look at that person at 28 and go, wow, that's where I want to be. This guy's doing exactly what I want to do. And they can see a connection because that guy's just a few years down the line. They're on the same path, but, that the more successful person is just a little bit further down the line. It's like, but would that content be effective if the guy was 30, if he was 35, if he was 40, if he was 45, if he's 50? And I think that's a really good example because, with content, a lot of the time it's about relating to the person who's, producing the content. If, for example, you don't like me as a person or for whatever reason, or you take a dislike to me, you're not going to want to read my articles or watch my videos. And, it's all the people that I read blogs, that I read their blogs, that I watch their videos for, I always have some sort of connection to them. I respect them. I like them. I like watching and reading their content. And I think it is interesting because sometimes it's easy to forget that especially with YouTube because it's more visual, but you do need to try and connect with people, but it will be difficult to do that. Is younger people are going to be able to connect with younger people more easily. And, flipping the coin, it's going to be easier for older YouTubers to connect with older people, So if I was sitting here talking about life experience or talking about pensions or talking about raising kids and things like that, it's going to carry more weight if you're an older person than, say, for example, you're 20 years old. They'll be like, what are you talking about? So again, there's no right or wrong answer about all of this. Everyone's doing content in a different way. And I don't think you need to do this or this or this. Follow your own path. But I think it is recommended to sometimes take a step back and just think about whether you're connecting with your audience anymore. Be aware that your audience will shift over time and you will grow as a person. And, sometimes if your interests change or if your content changes, then you might end up be targeting a different audience. Please do leave a comment about all of this. I think this is an interesting topic, and I don't think this is a topic that most content creators are really giving much thought to. So please do leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your opinion on this. So please do leave a comment below on YouTube or on my blog or on your Rise forums. And let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your opinion on this. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.